Yo, this New England Patriots team, they've been busy this offseason. Have they done enough this offseason? There is still plenty more to do. There's still plenty to talk about as well, which is what we're going to do today. I want to go through this roster and then get into a 7-round mock draft. Can't wait to see with all these draft picks what they're going to be able to do. They got a lot of picks to be able to play and get some help onto their football team still. Not to mention they still have money as well. The offensive line, you speak it. Left tackle, veteran low. I mean, I like the guy. I mean, on and off the field, he's got a crazy good story and somebody I'm rooting for, if nothing else, to be a good backup in competition for a rookie, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, it's clearly a void. It's clearly an area of need, and it is something that I'm going to be prioritizing early and often in this draft. And I wouldn't be shocked, too, if they just say, look, Travis Hunter's on the board at number 4. Okay, that's okay. We'll come back. We have draft capital. We have ability to come back up into the first round and select a left tackle that falls, like a Josh Connolly Jr., a Kelvin Banks. Those are guys that all make a lot of sense for this football team. Now, I'm not going to project trades in this mock draft, but I would say that that is a very real possibility on what this team could do heading into the actual draft itself. You got Caden Wallace. Once again, I see him as more of a swing guy early on. We'll see how he develops. We cannot bank on that. We have to add help. And that is what we're going to do. And then the interior of the offensive line. I mark Cole Strange in green, and mainly by putting it that I think that Cole Strange is a really good football player, somebody that I think is super underrated where he's at right now. And every time I watch his film, it's like he gets better and better and better, and then he gets an injury, and then it just brings everything back, and it's really frustrating with Cole Strange. I love him. I really hope that he can stay healthy this next season and prove the talent, because it is there. I don't have any disbelief against that. It's just about staying healthy. I'm really rooting for you, Cole. So hopefully you can lock down that left guard position. It is an area that they still need to add to just in case. I'm just more concerned with the center position, to be real with you. Garrett Bradbury signed on a 2-year deal. What was it, $9 million? I'm not like overly blown away with that. They can get out of it after one season. Bradbury, to me, I'm more concerned in this regard because he does struggle with pass pro, and I think he gets pushed back way too often. It's always really been an issue for him. Now, I never discount he is a good run blocker. He can get out on the move. He's one of the best guys in terms of that regard, getting to the second level. However, I think they still need to add a center in this draft after David Andrews letting him go and releasing him. So finding a long-term replacement for David Andrews is no easy task. It is something that I still want to be investing in. You got Ben Brown, who stepped up and was a good, solid player for them this season. I see him as a good, solid number 2 to have in for rotation if you need, or injuries, etc. No matter what, though, this could be an area that I could still see them drafting on day 2 very, very easily. And in general, I would say that I'm going to try to find a versatile offensive lineman that they can pivot and move around if they need to in multiple positions, just because of with the uncertainty of injuries or long-term viability. Like, that's really what I'm looking at. Right tackle, Morgan Moses. He is a Jets fan. He is a solid football player, and he's just somebody that's going to come in there. He was banged up through this season, and he was really kind of like a guy that just soldiering it out for us and continuing to play despite injuries and playing through injuries. He has been a reliability guy and somebody that I do think is solid. His contract is basically a 2-year type of deal, and I'm fine with that. He's going to be a guy that comes in and brings a veteran role to this team. Still need to add help and could think about long-term viabilities with him getting older and maybe more injury risk prone, even though he has been relatively reliable throughout his entire career. You got Michael Onwenu, of course, you're good to go there. So I would say overall here, left tackle, priority 1. That's a first round, second round, minimum second round need, right? It's really a first round need. Center would actually be my next priority here. That's a day 2 priority / maybe a guard, somebody who can play a little versatility there. That is something I would say is definitely a day 2 conversation, adding more help there. And a right tackle of the future / a developmental guy. Hopefully Caden Wallace can be that, though. That's kind of what I'm saying. So that's why I'm not like super worried about that. And Morgan Moses is under contract for the next 2 years at least. Well, at least 1 year, but more than likely 2. Let's go on to the wide receiver room, where they just acquired Stephon Diggs in a 4-year contract. Now, basically 2-year contract in ways. However, you do come off that ACL injury, so that'll be a big question mark. And that's what I'm saying. They still need to add to this room. You got Kayshon Boutte. You got Demario Douglas, good player there. A couple of good players. Matt Collins. Like, they've got a lot of wide receiver 3s in this room right now. Like, that's really what it is. Kendrick Bourne, Matt Collins. And Hollins was a really good player for Buffalo. They saw that clearly. I mean, he was their best red zone guy, I felt like, throughout the entirety of the season. Douglas, though, they've got good players. I would say Douglas is their best wide receiver 2 on the roster right now. With Diggs' injury, it is still an area that, or coming off that ACL injury, I expect him to at least be somewhat of himself, and especially early on, I think he can fully recover. It was an earlier in the season, so I expect that timeline to be ready to go by training camp and, ready to bring it on with Drake May and Stephon Diggs. So hopefully that's all good to go. Once again, still an area that I could still see them addressing in the draft somewhere early on, such as a Travis Hunter would be nice and would help us out this roster even more to give them another playmaker. Tight end wise, it is interesting to see what they'll do. They've got a lot of guys in here who are going to be competing for roster spots when you go into training camp. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper are your two guys, though, right? And Hooper was really good. He showed a great connection with Drake May. And bringing him back, I thought was really a good deal for them. Hunter Henry, obviously, has been this team's number one tight end for quite a minute. You got Jaheim Bell. Maybe he can develop into a solid number 3 guy as a gadget player or something like that. So I'm not overly concerned about it, but it is something they could look at because they're only Hunter Henry and Jaheim Bell. Those are the only guys that are under contract going into next season. So could they use like a fullback, hybrid H-back in Josh McDaniel's scheme? Absolutely. And maybe they look at drafting that late in the draft or somebody, even UDFA. So the running back position now. And this is definitely an area they're going to have to add more depth into and certainly be looking to the future as well. Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson. I thought Gibson was the better running back this season. Now, with better offensive line play, I fully expect because Stevenson's still a very good running back. It's just he had a terrible offensive line. Teams knew what was going on there. And clearly, if they can have better receiving play and quarterback, Drake May goes into year number 2 as a little more of a breakout here and whatnot. Like this offense can run the rock and be a lot more productive. Ramondre Stevenson certainly could be a bounce back candidate. I would love to add another playmaker in here, somebody else into the running back room. Josh McDaniels loves to find these receiving backs as well, even though Gibson, I imagine, will fill that role early on. Maybe we could have somebody else in there, can be a receiving player. Quarterback-wise, clearly not a need. You got 3 quarterbacks in here. This room is good to go. I don't even think they need... I mean, they could add a 4th option UDFA-wise, but it's not a draft need. You got Drake May as your starter. You got Joshua Dobbs, Joe Milton competing for that backup role. I love that Joshua Dobbs signing as well, bringing that veteran presence into the room, going to help out Drake May. Defensively wise, defense line's starting to get a little more scary. They still need another edge rusher. Okay, this is still an early need. This is still a day 2 priority for me. This is something with one of those day 2 picks. With the depth in this draft class, I'm going to try to find some more help here because Kayvon Jason, 1-year deal. Now, Harold Landry, couple-year contract or guaranteed contract, 3-year deal. Anthony Jennings still under contract too. You got Keon White still under contract after this next season. So their room looks pretty good in terms of they've got some guys. Do they have a true number 1 here? No, and that's why I'm saying they could still add more help. You don't have to have a true number 1. If you got a good rotation of guys, Jennings is your run defender. Keon White has some upside for sure. Can play inside too on rushing downs. Needs to be more consistent next season. Harold Landry is going to be their best day 1 pass rusher for this football team. Chason, also a good situational pass rusher for them. They could definitely use some more juice, though, in the room. And on the interior of the defensive line, this is a day 3 priority. They just need somebody that can be a good complement to new assignee Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. That's going to be fun, I'll tell you that, and especially in their one-gapping 4-man even front system that Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams are going to be really going into this next season. They're going to be able to attack a lot more and get after the quarterback. So this defensive line in general should be a lot more friendly at getting after the quarterback. And friendly, but I mean not friendly, I guess, to the other team. But I would still say that they need a early down guy / a run stuffer goal line guy. All right, a rotational player. You got Kyrus Tunga, who will be able to help them out in that regard. Jaquelin Roy is not bad in that positioning either. Jeremiah Farms, good rotational pass rusher for them. But once again, this is something late day 3, early to late day 3, somewhere on there. That is, to me, the sweet spot of finding an early down run defender type of guy that could be a rotational piece. After losing Devon Gottschall, which schematically wise, they're kind of moving on from those type of guys, which makes sense. But finding somebody who could be like a one-tech hybrid guy would be nice and beneficial for the football team. On to the linebacking core. They did just let go of Jawan Bentley, and that's going to be a tough loss, especially just from a leadership role, right? Because hey, a linebacker, that's really what it is. You need to be a good leader. You need to know the defense. You got to be able to put players in the right situation, know where everything's going around them. So that leadership role now is going to be handed to Robert Spillane. I think Robert Spillane's an underrated football player in general in the NFL. So that signing to me was kind of one that's not going to give anybody the, wow, oh my gosh, they did what? But to me, he's going to stabilize the room and be a very good football player. So I love that deal. and very fair contract as well. And then I will say, they've got some guys going through the film that are underrated in general in the NFL. Christian Ellis, I have watched film on him. He is a sneaky good blitzer and also a sneaky good coverage man. And with his, he's got some bloodlines too with, you go over to the Saints right now and they know a thing or two about the Ellises, and Caden Ellis is a very good football player. Christian Ellis, I think, could be a really good football player in next season, be a big-time contributor. You got Jack Gibbons coming off an ankle injury. We'll see if he's ready to go, but he's another good football player that is a three-down player. So you got Jelani Tavai. I don't know, schematic-wise, they're transitioning more to lighter guys who can move, drop back into coverage, things like that. So Jelani Tavai could end up being the odd man out, especially after this next season. So maybe they use him a little bit more on the defensive line. That's going to be an interesting area. I would just say this is a late round need. I think they're good to go in terms of their starters. They've got Jack Gibbons and Christian Ellis competing for that other starting spot. And as depth purposes, they just need a little bit more help, special teams ability. And that's something that I think they can find on day 3 of the draft. And on to the cornerback room here, which this could be an elite cornerback room this next season. Like legit, you got some of the best one-on-one cover men on the outside in the NFL right now. Gonzo is working his way towards elite status. Yeah, you can even make the argument he is there. But Carlton Davis, one of the better one-on-one corners in the NFL as well. You got Marcus Jones. This would be my only thing is, could they use a little bit more depth in the draft? Absolutely. And we allude back to if they get Travis Hunter at number 4 overall, which he might be, him or Abdul Carter could be staring at them at that number 4 overall pick. You get one of those guys, that'd be pretty sick. But if they were to get Travis Hunter here at number 4, he'd give them depth at the cornerback room that they could really use. And Marcus Jones is a free agent after this season. So that's just something to consider. And overall, it's not a huge priority, though. And you got to find another starter or anything like that. But they could use some more depth, rotational person. You got Alex Austin, Isaiah Bolden as your main depth pieces there. And then on the safety room. Now, oh man, this is a tough one. I really struggle with this one every time I look at the Patriots roster and what are they going to value in Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams' defense? Because, do they have a true free safety ball hawking guy here? No. Jalen Hawkins is really the more prototypical free safety in this room, I guess, if you had to say. So that's my only thing is and he was solid for them, and that's why they brought him back. 1-year deal was at $1.3 million. Very fair contract. I like that. And having him as around is some depth who can play. Jabril Peppers, Kyle Duggar, Marte Marpu, Del Pettis. Those are guys who more play along in the box, can play hybrid roles. Duggar, got to have a bounce back year hopefully this next season. Jabril Peppers has been cleared, so that's good. And he is still under contract. Now, he could be released after this next season, cap-wise, if they decided to do that, if the play went down or whatever. So free safety is still an area that this team could be looking to add. I just don't know with the guys under contract how they're going to figure this out. What do they want to do from a mapping standpoint, from a schematic standpoint? Those are all things that I need to kind of be in the room to really understand. But for me right now, I would say this is a day 3 priority. Finding another free safety would at least give them some sort of back-end depth with Jalen Hawkins. It's that time. It's draft time. And we're sitting here. Travis Hunter on the board. I am running. I don't care what it is. I know tackle's the biggest need. But here's the thing. If Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter are on the board at number 4, unless you get a trade package, which is definitely a very real possibility. I'm not projecting trades in this mock draft, so I just want to be upfront with that. We're sticking and picking. Whoever's available, who do I think is on the board? Travis Hunter, to me, would be an excellent addition for this team. Yes, you have some depth at the wide receiving room. Granted, you could get out of a lot of the contracts. First off, Matt Collins, Kendrick Bourne, both 1-year guarantees, really. I mean, Kendrick Bourne you could cut right now if you wanted to. However, you keep him for depth purposes. I'm totally fine with that. He is still a good football player, too. Matt Collins is going to be a great red zone threat for Drake May and this football team and just a veteran presence. However, Hunter gives them depth first off in the cornerback room, right? We talked about earlier the depth. They could use more depth in that regard. They've got their stud starters, but yeah, you could always use some more depth for injuries, etc. Hunter gives you that, and he also is going to give you another big-time weapon, especially if Diggs, the signing, doesn't quite work out, because I don't want to put all our chips into that basket. I want to make sure we got plenty of playmakers. Hunter is going to do that. So I can't pass up on a talent like that. I totally understand tackle is the number 1 need. Armin Embu is on the board. Will Campbell, I think, would be a day 1 starter for them. Impact, he plays left tackle as well, even though with a shorter arm. So I understand all that. It is in play. If they traded down, it would make a ton of sense. If I'm sticking and picking at number 4, I'm getting Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, and I'm calling it a day. And that's the thing, too. When you go into the second round, they could make a move up. They've got day 2 picks to package and to go back into the first round. If you package 77 to come back up into, like, let's say 24 through 20, like the Vikings, for example, would be a team that I imagine would be very open to trading. You can jump in front of the Houston Texans and you could do something like that, right? There are options on the table that this team could do. But if I'm sticking here and I'm getting Ariante Ursary, I feel like he is a guy that could be available in this area and somebody that would be a day 1 impact starter for them. He's got the big time size. He's got the run blocking mentality, prowess. He can barrel over you, right? And you show up against the tape against Abdul Carter. The guy can hold up against elite talent. I do worry about his footwork, right? And it was a problem versus Abdul Carter and some twitchier, faster edge rushing guys. And another thing I think underrated, like he does need to work still on his hand technique in regards, he does expose his chest a little too often and he can get pushed back despite that strength and that profile. So that's something I want to see him improve a little bit better on with his hand usage. Overall, though, the footwork is maybe my biggest concern that I do worry about as a true left tackle. Overall, though, he has the talent. He is an athletic specimen that just needs to kind of work a little bit in that regard. So if he can get a little bit more light on his feet, I feel really good about him because he definitely is a really good athlete that is explosive and linear. Like he can zone block. He can get to the second level. He can really destroy guys in the run game. Just want to see it more in the lateral presence. I'm going to try true Big Ten left tackle, though, and I think he comes in and could be a starter for them. And then we go into round number 3 here. It's Isaiah Stewart, Michigan edge rusher, Wolverine. Let's go. Add more pass rush, right? As I was mentioned earlier, we need to add more juice into the room. With Harold Landry coming in, it helps you out, no doubt about it. You bring in Kayvon Chase in as a situational pass rusher. Hosea Stewart can do that early on as well. His high motor, I'm going to get him out there, and he's going to be a big-time impact. And probably could, be an impact on special teams early on, play like 100 to 300 snaps, depending on how good he looks early on. And he's somebody that continue to work on his pass rush plan and his moves. He could be a really nice addition for them in the long haul with his burst and explosiveness. He's one of the quickest guys off the line, I'll tell you that right now. He gets back there quick and gets pressure. And then we go on to our second, third round pick here, Marcus Bowe. Oh, yeah, I'm bringing the slingshots out here. Purdue offensive lineman. And he is going to fill that role from losing Javon Bentley. Hey, they lost one Purdue guy. Let's go get somebody else, a Purdue guy. They got to fill that void, right? But Marcus Bowe, he's going to be a guy that continue to get stronger. He is somebody that I could see developing into a center for them or could stick at right tackle. I know people view him as a guard as well. Now, as a guard, I would want to see him get stronger. So that's why I say he's kind of either a right tackle or a center, which I'm cool with. But he could be a guard too. He's even said, hey, he's comfortable going anywhere, wherever an offense or an NFL team wants to play him. And that's going to be something that he can get stronger at the next level. He doesn't have to start either right away, right? You've got your starters on the interior. He can develop, whether it's right tackle of the future, because Morgan Moses is getting older, right? He's 34 years old. He is under contract, but they could still find a long-term developing. He has a lot of traits of Roger Rosengarten as well. So sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place with this, but like he could play a multitude of positions. So that's why I say somewhere on the O-line. And that's really what I'm looking at here with Marcus Bowe. I'm copping out on you. On to round number 4, LaQuint Allen Jr., Syracuse running back, who is so underrated. This guy is going to be a receiving threat nightmare. Like he is basically a receiver playing running back. And he's got a good speed too. Like he's not a long burner. Like he's not going to blow past guys, but like he can move, man. He can move through lanes. He's got a cutting ability. He got a nice jump cut, and he's somebody that is going to make his mark as a receiver. He is one of the most dangerous receiving running backs with Brashad Smith in this entire running back class. He is going to give them that for Josh McDaniels. I love this addition, adding somebody like that for another playmaker with Antonio Gibson. And on to round number 5, I figured Jay Toia here from UCL would be a nice one-tech, one-gapping, shooting type of player on goal line situations, run-down stops. Like, he is explosive. Like, he's got, he's not like an elite athlete or anything like that, right? But he has got that explosive, like, quick 5-yard burst that you need, right? And he definitely has got the power. He's got the oomph. He's got the size. I feel like he's going to be a really, really nice fit with this more aggressive style of defense and going to fit what more they're going to want from a run defender type that could also be a little sneaky pass rusher, right? That's not really his game, but he definitely has the tools to get into the backfield, at least push the pocket back because he's just explosive off the line. He's got a quick burst. He's going to be more of an explosive run defender, whereas, Devon Gottschall is more of a two-gapping hold the point of attack type of guy. That, hopefully that makes a little more sense on what it is, basically what I'm looking at here. Let's move on to our first 7th round pick. I'm going with Rayon Lane, safety from Navy. Let's go. And I haven't watched tons of Navy film. You got to watch the Army Navy game each year. Like, that's a classic. Like, there's some games I feel like each and every year you just kind of like Michigan, Ohio State, Army, Navy. There's some, like I said, Alabama, LSU. I feel like that on every year you kind of just have to watch. That was another good one. And I'm glad, Navy. Rayon Lane had a couple of big time plays in that game too, and coverage and on like third downs and run stop situations. I think Lane is going to be a very interesting player wherever he goes as a developmental guy. He's going to be a great special teamer, but as a guy that could develop into a free safety, and that's really what I'm looking for here, I think he has all the tools to do it. His coverage instincts, and going through his highlights, I feel like that he has got some really good coverage instincts as well. Once again, it's highlights, so I haven't done a full scouting report, just, from watching that game and then watching the highlights. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with Rayon Lane. He seems like an interesting developmental prospect, and a lot of people are kind of talking about this guy as like a sneaky day 3 option. Then on to our next pick here in the 7th round, we're going with Sean Dolak from Buffalo, the linebacker, who, once again, I've not watched a full scouting report on this guy. I've just mainly watched highlights and stuff like that. And he does seem like a really good athlete, I might add. Like, he's got some good skills in terms of his lateral movement skills, and he can drop back into coverage. His instincts looked really good too when I was watching him. So he's somebody that I think would be a really good developmental piece. If nothing else, going to give him good special teams ability. And I really think he'll fit into what Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams are looking for from their linebackers. And with our final pick, I'm selecting a kicker. It's Caden Davis from Ole Miss. Hey, they got to add a kicker, okay? Whether it's through the UFL, through the draft, free agency still. I don't know who else is available out in the open market right now, but like, they have to add competition. And Caden Davis from Ole Miss, I'm not sure, where kickers exactly are going to go. You got a couple. You got Andres Borgales from Miami. You got Caden Davis, obviously, from Ole Miss, who was all SEC first team. You've got Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State. So there's some kickers out there. Go get the best available kicker you can that you believe in. He's got a big leg. He was solidly accurate too this season for Ole Miss, and throughout his career, he's been pretty accurate. So I want to make sure we add in some sort of competition at the kicker position. Yeah, it's worth spending a pick on, I think, here. So that's going to do it here for our draft for the New England Patriots. Definitely let me know what you think, agree or disagree. What would you do differently? Everyone's going to have their own opinions on players and who do you take at this value, that and there, et cetera, et cetera. But for me personally, it's gonna be totally different when the actual draft starts. So that's what it is. I'm mainly trying to highlight the needs, trying to find scheme fits, guys that I think would be a good addition for the football team. As I mentioned earlier, if they get Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter at that 4th overall pick, they don't trade back or they don't take a tackle, I think they're more than likely going to be in the move up to trade back into the 1st round, get a left tackle. Like, I just think that's really much on the table for them with the picks that they have. They could package one of those 3rd rounders to move up, and it would make a lot of sense, right? There are teams that are more than likely going to be looking to trade back, like the Vikings, etc., right, that they can move with. So keep an eye on all of that. But Ariana Terrace in the 2nd round, hey, no smuck. He can start right away, right? I believe that. So you get him. You get Marcus Bowe, who could be the right tackle of the future for them, or he could be the center, or, maybe even a guard. Like, he gives him a lot of that. But that's why I drafted Marcus Bowe. Like, let's be real. He can play a multitude of roles, and that's the way I see it. And then I got some running back depth, because I feel like that's something they need to do, right? They need to add some more running back depth. Look, Quinn Allen, his receiving skills. Yeah, he needs to work on his vision as a true runner. He runs high, right? That's, as a former receiver, like, that's going to be something that kind of built into him. He needs to work on that as a true running back. He's like the Tyrone Tracy prospect, I feel like, of this last draft. So he comes in here as a developmental running back, could be that 3rd player, rotational receiving back for them. And then he's also a solid pass pro guy too. He's definitely a willing guy in that regard. But Travis Hunter, our 4th overall pick, he's going to give him rotation on both sides of the field, but I think he'll be a bigger impact right away as a wide receiver for this team. I didn't list him as a true starter, but he's definitely going to be playing. Let's just be real. They are going to get Travis Hunter out there. I know one area you could push back on. Did we draft a tight end? No, but I just kind of ran out of picks. I wanted to get some other areas like a kicker, a safety, a linebacker depth. Like, that's just kind of the way it is. And speaking of the defense, we talk about getting some depth at linebacker. That's really all they need. I think they're good to go with Ellis, Gibbons. Still figure it out. One of those guys to start opposite of Robert Spillane. And then safety-wise, finding another free safety type, right? As somebody that can be a ball hawk in the back end. I think Rayon Lane has the tools to do that, and the nuance, the zone coverage ability and ability to play rec to do that. And then Travis Hunter can work in that secondary. And then finally, on that defensive line, we get Jay Toia as a good one-tech, rotational, early down run defender, goal line specialist, Hosea Stewart as a pass rushing specialist early on and more depth for them in the future. And you got to draft a kicker, right? Or get somebody like we talked about earlier. So that's going to do it here for the New England Patriots. I hope you guys have a really good day.